But long story short, I didn't have a plan. My football coach was, you're good in football, so you're going to go to college. Okay, but that's on the checklist. So luckily, he told me that was my plan. And then it was not until my junior year of undergrad when I'm like, okay, I got to sit down and start to prepare myself for the next step. Because by then, I majored in legal studies. I had a department head who told me, okay, this is what you have to do to go to law school. So that's when I started to plan.
Okay, so what law school did you end up going to?
UAD, downtown Detroit, University of Detroit School of Law.
Which is hella expensive.
Very, very. You don't want to know how much money I owe them.
Yo, okay. So, at what point you in law school? When do you decide what specialty you want to go into?
I didn't decide. It was one of those things that came and it fell into my lap again. I played football up until my second year of college. I stopped playing football because I needed to get my grades up to go to law school. So my entire life before then was football. So football and the law, you marry those together, what you get is a sports agent. So that's what I believed that I was going to do. I always liked criminal defense, but I knew from the neighborhood that I grew up in, a lot of people don't put up lawyer money. So you're not going to make a whole lot of money as a criminal defense attorney until later on in your career.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's out. So we'll figure out this sports agent thing. So while in law school, you're able to be a sports agent for the CFL, the Canadian Football League, the Arena League back then, and then there was a second Arena League football. So I'm like, I'm gonna just, start this thing on my own right now. So by the time I'm out of law school, I can have this experience sitting in people's living room and sign these big clients.
Okay.
So during the week, I will go to my classes, do my work, and starting on Friday, at least once a month, I would get on a plane, fly out to meet athletes or their parents, trying to sign them to my firm, my sports management firm. So I did that for 2 years. I did pretty good for a 25-year-old to have 2 draft picks. Well, not 2 draft picks, one draft pick and the other was a undrafted free agent. Okay. To be able to say that is crazy. I've sat in the living room with parents with, some big name athletes. They didn't end up signing me because, by the time I showed up, they didn't know how young I was until I showed up.
Got there. Yeah.
Right. My pamphlets and everything like that was great. That, made me make the cut to be able to get these meetings. I'm the final 3 or the final 5. But by the time I showed up to their door, like, you a couple of years older than my kid, we're not going to sign with you. But fast forward, I was a law clerk for Carl Collins, and he did personal injury. He is good. I law clerked for him while I was in law school, and that's where I would get my money from to take these flights and all that. So by the time I graduated law school, took the bar exam, I wasn't a millionaire like I thought I was going to be. So I had to get a job. I'm married. I'm about to have a daughter. So Carl said, hey, I like what you're doing. You're good at your job. I'll hire you as an attorney. So that's where I started my career legally. And then I just fell in love with it, to be honest.
Okay. And we were talking a little bit about that specialty of being an attorney, as far as an injury. People have they call y'all ambulance chasers. Fair or insulting?
And I don't, it's hard to insult me. I really don't be caring about what people think, to be honest, right? So I can, as long as I do right and able to sleep at night, that's all right with me. And what happens is a few people spoil it for everybody else, right? So there are ambulance chasers. They typically don't do a good job on these cases anyway. But then there are people like me who reject more than I take in. So when my phone rings, I don't sign up every client that calls. We have to talk about what are your actual injuries, what's going on with you. If you are back to work and you're working a physical job, then this probably is not the law firm for you because of that idea that people fake injuries. And if you can work this 10-hour job as a nurse, lifting up patients and all of that, how injured are you? And it's very, very important for me to have a reputation that I take actual good cases, because that means all of my other cases are going to have a perceived value even before I start talking.
Gotcha.
They know I don't take BS cases. But long story, long answer short, I don't take offense of it because I know I'm not. But there are some bad actors out there. I will admit to that.
So if I fall at Walmart and sprain my ankle, I'm probably not going to get you as a lawyer.
It depends, right? Because a lot of people don't know that there are levels of sprains. So a lot of people have the level 1 sprain, but level 3 is like ligament damage. It's still classified as a sprain, but you can have surgery on that. You can have nerve damage on a sprained ankle. It just depends on what's going on with you. And in that interview, if we talk and then we realize that it's a level 3 sprain, then that's something that we can sign up, investigate, keep a look at, and then go forward from there.
So I know a nurse, and her side hustle is working with personal injury attorneys, or actually hers is kind of more like nursing home attorneys and shit like that. Do you do those type of cases too?
She does what? The nursing?
Like nursing, like when a lawyer sues, a family wants to sue a nursing home or a hospital, she would be either for or against, but she would be their like medical expert, so to speak.
Got it. Yeah. So she's a witness for hire, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't do those kind of cases. I've done nursing home cases and things like that, but I don't hire nursing witnesses or doctor witnesses. I just go with what the actual provider, right? So if you're actually injured, I can talk to the ER doctor. I can talk to your primary care doctor. I can talk to your pain doctor and get whatever it is that I need from them. So I really don't shop around. I take the cases with the actual injury, so I really don't need to. But the big money for those kind of nurses and doctors, they come from the defense side. So the vast majority of the people she represent or do report for are going to be insurance companies or insurance defense firms. Plaintiffs, a lot of the times, at least the good ones, they're not the ones shopping for opinions because it's already there. You can't fake a broken arm. You can't fake a herniated disc. You can't fake a surgery. You can't fake those injections. So there's no real need for me to shop around for an opinion.
Is there a case where you feel like you got too emotionally vested?
Nope. There's cases that I think that I should have been more emotionally involved, if not for the client being an asshole. But I'm
sorry to cut you off, but how difficult is that for you when they came to you?
Yeah.
And they an asshole about it. Now they feel like it ain't paying you a shit yet.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make anything. Let's get that out the
way. Not only have they not paid me anything, I'm paying to fight for their case. I have to pay for all of their medical records. I have to pay for the lawsuit to get started with the court. I have to pay for the service processor to serve the defendant. I have to pay for depositions. I have to pay for transcripts. So typically I spend on a low end $5,000 and on the high end $25,000 to allow this case to go through the court system before I see a dollar.
Joe, at what point do you say fuck this and tap out? And
Um,
can you?
it's one time that I remember having to do that
Mhm.
because I actually sit down and talk to these people. I go to their homes. It's important, and that's why I'm emotionally invested in these cases because I talk to their sibling or their husband to know what this accident or this fall took from them.
Mhm.
So I have to be emotionally involved and able to tell their story adequately. But of all of my years, it was one case that I walked away from just because the guy was a liar. He, would say he's this injured, but the medical records don't support it, and he's caught on video bowling and doing other things when he's crying to me, calling me crying every week, saying that he's in so much pain. So that's the only case that I had to walk away from because it wouldn't sit well with me. Even though the insurance companies are scumbags, I'm still not going to take a bunch of money from them if my client don't deserve it for it.
Yo, how did at what point during the process do you get this video? And what are you thinking when you watching this motherfucking bowling?
It's it pissed me off because I was emotionally invested in this person. You
Mm.
know, there are attorneys who say you can't get emotionally invested, but I think, to be honest, I think that's a disservice. Like you can't tell an emotional story without having some emotions involved, right? But I got all the way up to trial. We were gonna try this case. I was asking for 500,000. Before we get to this point, they were at 200,000. And I'm like, fuck y'all. That's not enough for my client because I'm expecting him to be catastrophically injured based on our interactions. And then when we get to that point, they pull out this video disc, and I'm like, well, shit.
Oh, so the other side pulled it out.
Yeah, they pay people to surveil you. So as much as people think, oh, I know my neighborhood, I know the cars that's supposed to be around here, so I know if someone follow me. These surveillance companies, they pick out the best detectives from around the country and pay them double, triple their salary for them to catch you without being seen. Um,
Yo, this nigga fumbled the bag horribly.
yeah, and this is before you could go buy video glasses. The surveillance company had them. This was 15 years ago.
Yo, he probably still kicking himself, as
It
he should be.
need to be because
Yeah.
if so, that's the thing. You don't need to be catastrophically hurt. If you just be honest with me, tell me what's going on, I can make anything have value.
Okay.
But the thing was, he wouldn't have been satisfied with the value that was actually there. That was his issue,
So not only was he really not that hurt, but he was greedy.
very much. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so my best friend is a lawyer, defense attorney.
Hmm.
And we be having this back and forth debate about why he doesn't why defense attorneys apparently are not supposed to advertise their services.
Mm. He must be an older guy.
We the same age. Well, I'm a couple years older than him actually.
Right. So if he's in his late 50s, early 60s, he grew up in a time when advertising was frowned upon. Right. So lawyer in the circle of attorneys, everyone doesn't agree on if an attorney should advertise or not. Some think it cheapens the profession, and some people say, "Hey, this is how we have to make a living." But the it depends on when he was raised. As far as I can remember, I've always seen attorneys advertise.
Well, I've always seen personal injury attorneys.
Hmm.
I've never seen a defense attorney.
Yeah, there is no rule that I know of to say based on your specialty you can or cannot advertise.
So it's not a policy, it's more like an ethical thing.
Correct.
Okay.
That people have made up.
That don't make no sense to me.
Nah, if one can do it, why can't the rest?
Exactly, and that was my point. And he's like, it just like you were saying, your reputation precedes you.
Hmm.
That has an effect on a defense attorney's reputation. That's basically his point.
Gotcha. Yeah, but see, that's a personal choice, or that's a choice. He's on that side of the fence when it comes to advertising. I was at a firm for 13 years and they refused to advertise. Their father was an attorney.
Mhm.
He had the opinion that attorneys shouldn't advertise. They adopted that model. I'm not in that on that side of the
So
fence.
you got billboards?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Where you got a billboard at, bro?
Uh, I have 2 on 6 Mile, 1 on 8 Mile and 75,
Oh, that one probably gets some action right there.
1 on Grand River 96.
Damn, that's right around the block from my daughter. See, now I got to pay. Now I got to be looking for it.
Yeah. And
Was that like a status symbol for you? Did it help?
so I've advertised. A lot of my cases come from word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been having, even before I left my old firm and started my own firm, my entire docket was full of cases that I brought in. They didn't have to find cases for me to work up. Those are my cases.
Mm.
But I'm like addicted to social media. So every person I went to high school with, every person I went to college with, half the people I went to law school with, we're still connected through social media. So it's easy for me to just remind my social media following, this is what I do for a living. And when their brother or sister or someone's injured, then they call me. The reason why I advertise is they call it brand affirmation.
Mm.
So there are a set of people that already know your brand, but having a billboard, having a commercial on the radio, it allows them, or gives them more pride to yell your name just a little bit louder. I know this guy. He had my sister's case. You need to mess with him. You need to, right?
Yeah.
It affirms them in referring you to other people too.
Because I live in Cleveland now. I'm from Detroit, but I live in Cleveland now. But there's 2 firms, and I think one of them is. Matter of fact, before I go into that, let's say I get hurt here.
Uh-huh.
Can you represent me?
I can, if it makes financial sense. And what do I mean by that? So the $5,000 to $25,000 that I have to pay up front to work your case up, you got to pay that back, right? So if I get a $1 million case and you have to pay or reimburse me for me flying down to Cleveland or driving down to Cleveland, that makes sense if the value is high.
Right.
If it's $100,000 case with the value of 100,000, I wouldn't take your case, even if you begged me, because I know that 25,000 or that extra money that is going to take for me to carry your case, you won't like me at the end of it, because you're going to look at these itemizations and be like, damn, did you have to fly down here 3 times? I'm like, yeah, the court required me to be down there. It required me to be there present. So I just finished $1.6 and some change $1 million case. I had that case in Dayton, Ohio, but I had to fly down to Florida because that's where the client lived. The client lives in Florida, originally from Michigan, drove up twice a year, drove from Florida to Michigan to visit family and go to their cottage. So before they got to Michigan, they had an accident in Ohio. And with jurisdiction, you have to, the defendants was from Ohio, the accident happened in Ohio. So you have to go through a case in Ohio. So they didn't bulk at the 3 flights that I had to take back and forth to Florida to do depositions, to depose witnesses, or the flight to Dayton, Ohio, to depose the witnesses down there, to depose the defendant, because I got them so much money on the back end. It was a very, very small percentage of $6 million that they had to reimburse. But that conversation would have been super different if it was 160,000 and 25,000, 30,000 they had to pay back. If that makes sense.
So what the outside of expenses, because I'm sure and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what is like a standard cut for a personal injury attorney?
In Michigan is 1/3. So it's set by the state bar. So in Georgia, I think it's 40%. In Texas, it's 50%. So
damn.
Yeah. So, and that's after reimbursement of costs. So if the case we settle for 100, I settle the case for 100, but I had $34,000 in costs. That $34,000 comes off
the rip,
and the 66 is left.
And then you get a third of that 66.
66, correct.
So you what is that? That's like 22. Some change.
Yeah, but if it's in Georgia or Texas, it's much. Yeah, they get more.
Does that push you towards a case? Like if the cases are equal, but they're in different states, one is in Texas and one is in Michigan, do you take the Texas one?
So the Ohio case, I charge my standard fee, no matter where I have to go.
Oh, okay.
So, but that's just me. Someone else may say, "Oh, well, in Georgia we can do 40, and in Texas we can do 50." I'm gonna do what's allowed in that state. I just keep mine at 33%.
Okay, that right there probably gets you a shitload of people.
Yeah, because my biggest thing is I got to be able to sleep at night. Right? It's only so much. Could I stand to make more money? Yeah, but I'm a simple person. I'm not buying no planes. I'm not, spending a whole bunch of money on nonsense. I got a daughter in college, a wife that doesn't need red bottoms, and so I'm not pressed to, make all that money. The real thing is, yes, I want the money. Don't get me wrong, but the fight for real, that's what get me up every morning.
Yo, what's the biggest settlement you've won?
Settlement?
And you know what? What the biggest judgment you've won?
The biggest judgment at trial was 1.7 million.
That's nice money right there.
It is. My next step is in the tens of millions. That's the case I'm looking for now. Like I can do a bunch of $100,000 cases, $1 million cases in my sleep, but I have yet to hit that milestone. There's only a handful of lawyers that can say out of their mouth, I hit for over $1 million. It's like the $1 million club here in Michigan, and it's not too many people in it because there are a lot of people who work up a case and they just don't want to go to trial. They're afraid of it. And I love it.
So a $10 million case is pretty much somebody who it sounds like either somebody died or there's a lifelong injury involved.
Yep.
How do you deal with a parent that lost a child?
Very carefully. And that's another reason why you cannot be a good attorney and be emotionless, right? You have to put yourself in that person's shoes, even if it's something that you didn't personally experience, right? Someone losing a leg. I'm battling a car accident too, right? Someone T-boned me 2 years ago, and it's super uncomfortable just me sitting here for a long time. I had to take a Motrin 800 just to be able to sit through this interview. But you have to as much as you can put yourself in that person's shoes, right? If I have a kid, how would I handle Riley dying? What does that look like?
Imagine.
Yeah. So for your client can't always find those words to tell you how it feels. They're grieving, right? Number one, you're their lawyer, but you're a stranger. So they don't open up to you as much as they can. So you got to pull that stuff out of them to be able to tell their story. You have to put yourself in their shoes to be able to tell their story. You have to talk to their spouses, because funny enough, I have men who are hurt that can't bring themselves to tell their wife, the person they lay with every night, how much this accident is affecting them.
Yo,
Right. So you have to, if you're going to be good at all and not just going through the motions, you gotta have some emotion in representing these clients.
and that's a whole nother show right there, though.
Mhm.
But yo, man, that I understand not wanting to tell your significant other
Yeah.
or anybody for that matter, especially the older you get, because the more it's like the old lion. You know somebody about to take your spot.
Right. It's beyond that too. It's identity, right?
Mm.
How long have you been a personality?
Give me how long am I doing the show? About 10 years.
Right. Even this particular show, or just shows in general?
I had one of just shows in general.
Got it. So I can tell by your voice. I've looked at your other episodes. You have a gift that a lot of people don't have, being able to have a conversation. You are quick with it. Everybody can't do what you do.
Man,
right?
I'm about to make it a fucking commercial, bro.
Everyone can't just get up and do what you do, right? So I'm assuming that you take pride in that, because you know that, as humble as you want to be, everyone can't sit in my chair and do what I do.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's say you have a concussion or post-traumatic stress syndrome that makes your wit a little slower, or a lot slower.
Mm.
You built your identity on this thing. And then for someone to take that away, right? It's, who am I without it? I compare it to, you see it all the time. Every year in the NFL, someone retires.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been playing football since they've been 4 or 5 years old. They're 40 now. They know
have
nothing.
no identity.
And that's what people turn to drugs, run through their money, all kind of stuff, because who am I without this thing? What value do I hold without this thing? And that can go for sports. That can go for being a personality. That could go for being the best church league basketball player on Sundays, right? You have to find where they put their identity in. And if that's taken from them, what effect is that going to have on them, period? But also, going back to the husband is afraid to tell his wife, because she loved him in part because of that identity.
Yes.
Right? So if she find this out, that I'm not this man she married, she might leave me.
Exactly.
My kids may not look at me the same.
So ain't the superhero no more.
Yeah. So that is in part why you fake a smile, you pretend that you're not in pain, you pretend, because you want so bad to be this person that you were just the day before this accident. And if you're found out, you're found out that you're not this person anymore, you're afraid of what's going to happen to your life.
Just totally off base, but for me, that's the key to finding a good woman, is when she understands your silence. Because men don't talk a lot, and when we do, oftentimes we feel like we're not listened to.
Mm-hmm. But we've been trained not to talk.
Exactly. But the great one, the right woman for you, understands even when you're not talking that you're speaking.
Yeah.
And they can understand that language.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that's rare though.
Extremely.
And
Go ahead.
for the man, you don't know. You may hope, you may believe, but if you're paralyzed, you don't know that that woman is going to stick with you until
they do. Yeah.
So if he's able to hide it, he's going to hide it because he's afraid that, now this is the time to test whether this woman loves me for real or not.
Yeah.
And they scared of that answer.
Yeah. Ooh, I've been there. Okay, so here's a question I ask everybody. Has absolutely nothing to do with nothing, but here goes.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting on a park bench and God sits down next to you and he or she says you can ask them one question. What would it be?
That's deep.
Sometimes I mix it up. I say Satan.
Well, that'll be an easier question.
Most people say they don't have a question for Satan. I'm like, shit, I got lots of questions for that nigga. I do.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
It would be a lot of whys, like why pain, and I understand on the growth level, you're gonna grow through pain, loss, like a mother losing a child. That's tough. Like, why allow that?
Yeah.
So I think that's what be the question that has something surrounding by why allow so much suffering.
There's a guy in the Bible. I don't know if you read the Bible, but this guy named Job.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that my scholars out there are going to butcher me for this, but this guy, basically God and the devil had a bet that this guy is going to be faithful to the Lord regardless. And God let Satan ruin this nigga's life. Killed his kids, or I don't know how. It took his whole family away, took all his money, took all the shit he had. And this guy was still praising God. Mm-hmm. And God rewarded him with like twice to everything. And people celebrate that part. And I never understood the celebration because you can never replace your child.
Yeah.
You can get another kid, but that doesn't mean you don't
miss the first one.
Right. There is no adequate replacement for some things.
Mm-hmm.
So I just never really. So if you're out there, please, briefly, don't send me a dissertation. Give me an explanation.
Yeah. So it's, I get the greater good argument. I get, you don't know what I'm doing for you. And then the meme with, where an adult has a big bear behind their back and then they're leaning over to a kid saying, give me that small bear you have. But the kid is like, I love it so much. And like, it suggests that you give me the small bear, I'm going to give you this big bear. But like you said, that just because it's bigger don't mean it's going to replace his bear,
Exactly.
So I won't pretend to know all of the answers. I never pretend, but I think that would be in the realm of the questions that I have.
What's an absolute no for you as far as a client?
Pedophilia or rape. And and I know it's not within what I do now. I did spend an entire summer in Chicago as a public defendant. I left undefeated. I did drug cases. I did, you name it. But for pedophilia, for rape, I couldn't touch it. For the same reason that we talked about a little earlier, that I have to be tied into the case.
Yeah.
And
so disgusting.
Yeah. That act, not to say that this person actually did it, but the act itself, I don't think that I would fight as hard to defend this person.
Because there's a little part of you that's like, yeah, nigga, you did this shit.
Yeah, or you could have did it.
Yeah, you look suspicious.
And if I get you off, you're going to go do it again.
There's some people I done ran across, I'm like, and I'd literally be like, they look like they got a van with no windows.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to hire you, how do they go about doing that?
They can call us here at the office, 313-777-5757. They can DM me on social media. I'm at Call Camper on Facebook, Call Camper on Instagram, Call Camper on TikTok, and then callcamper.com is my website.
Do you think you're in a better position for success now than your counterparts 30 years ago?
Counterparts, what do you mean?
Well, like other lawyers that did the same thing.
I do. Just because of it's easier to get to your customer now than it used to be. I spend a shit ton of money on radio ads, billboards, things of that nature, and everybody can't afford that.
Mhm.
I can't afford it. Shit. And but you can get your message out by having 1,000 Facebook friends or having 250 Instagram followers, right? You couldn't reach out to 250 people that simple 30 years ago, right? So I do think I'm in a better position. I think I'm better educated than 30 years ago, just because there are seminars, there are, videos that you can watch. It's so much information out there to make you a better attorney. For instance, earlier today, I was in Lansing teaching a class on opening arguments, right? It was maybe 300 people there.
Mhm.
And, I was educating them on how to format your opening arguments, why it's important to take your opening argument seriously, how to educate through an opening argument. They didn't have these things 30 years ago.
What's more important, the opening argument or the closing?
Opening.
Really?
Sure. Yeah. So what I was sharing with the group today is, if you look at any medium of information, a movie, a book, whatever you look at, there's always some kind of introduction. Why is that? Psychologically, it's easier for you to grasp something if there's some kind of identification of where this is going to go.
Mm.
Right? If you're in the blind, and right, let's just say you in a car and somebody say, hop in, we about to ride out. There's a level of discomfort with not knowing where you're going. But if you're saying we going over auntie house real quick, you more relaxed, you know how to, right? So it's the same thing with opening, the essay format, right? The essay, you have three parts. You have introduction, you have a body, you have a conclusion. The introduction is, this is what I'm about to tell you. The body is, you tell them this is the thing. The conclusion is, this is what I told you. That's the time-tested format of any writing. And it's because it's, number one, with that introduction, you're setting anticipation, you're setting expectation, you are letting them know where this journey is going to go, right? You got on Tiger gear today. Do you just happen to go to a Tiger game, or do you say, I'm going to go to a Tigers game, and then plan which one you're going to go to?
Yeah.
Then buy the ticket. And our mind is made to make a decision on a goal or destination and then backtrack how to get there. And it's the same thing with trial. You're going to tell this jury, this is the journey we're going to go on. And then they are more responsive to the evidence that you present to them, because they know why you're giving them this piece of evidence.
So I'm sitting here and just listening to you, like I can see when you say you have to care, I can see the concern and the care in you. And you can hear it, like you really kind of like fuck with what you're doing. You love what you do. What part of your personality do you feel you don't get to show much as a personal injury attorney that you might be able to show as a defense attorney?
I typically get the reverse of that. Like what is the characteristics that you tap into? But that's a really great question. So I tap into aggression. I tap into a competitive spirit. I even I tap into the nurturing, caring, or compassion part with my client. The aggression and stuff is for the defense. Okay. Well, no, because I wouldn't tap into that as a defense attorney either. Oh man, I'm stumped on that one. That's a great question. I've never been asked that before.
I try, bro. I try.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Somebody asked me, "Do you know what's on the Epstein files?"
Oh no.
Yo, again, completely has nothing to do with. Did you see this shit that Elon Musk tweeted?
I didn't, but I'm not surprised at none of that shit no more.
Yo, he said that your boy Trump, not your boy, but
yeah,
that Trump is in the Epstein files, and that's why they haven't been released. And he tweeted this shit.
I believe it, but didn't they say that he was on the planes with him a while ago when they was talking about the kids?
Yeah, but it hit different when your boy telling it.
Right. Yeah. Because now you kind of erase and doubt, right? There's some people like, nah, he probably wasn't on there. But now if someone in your circle is saying you on there,
yo, these motherfuckers is having like a hissy fit towards each other, and it's entertaining.
It's very entertaining, but it's scary though. It's scary. I mean, I try to ignore it and I try not to dive into it. I'm one of those people that I feel uncomfortable when I don't have the power or means to change something. If I feel helpless, I hate that fucking feeling, right? Because I'm a doer. I am a doer. Okay, I'm the friend. You don't come to me to just vent, right? Because it's gonna be, oh man, that's messed up. So all right, what we gonna do about it? That's who I am. So seeing what's going on in the world right now, I feel so fucking helpless. I try not to even look at it.
That's what they want from us.
True. But to be honest, I think that there are more that you have right in the military, you have specific units to do specific things.
Yeah.
The chessboard, specific pieces are for specific things. And, I'm not a person that pretends to know everything. I'm not a person that's going to put on 1,000 hats. I'm going to do what I can do and do it great. Used to play defensive line. My job wasn't always to make the tackle. My job was sometimes just to take up 2 blocks.
To facilitate the tackle.
Yeah, to let the linebacker spill and get the tackle. So trying to do too much for me, knowing that that's not my lane, I'll go crazy. Because like I said, I'm a doer. And I will want to do something. And then I'm going to be on the news talking about they found a rifle on the roof somewhere. And, so that's where I'm at with it. I just hate feeling helpless, man.
Do you watch tapes of other attorneys?
Yes. I pay thousands of dollars to go to Texas to learn from attorneys. I go to every seminar that I can. I go to whatever medium that I can to get better. A lot of the times it's something that I'm already doing, but at least, okay, because I do a lot of things on instinct. Mm-hmm. And I go to an attorney in Virginia, and they're putting on a seminar, and they're breaking down why this feels so good for me to do this kind of thing and why I'm doing it. So it's either I'm learning something new, which is maybe like 10% of the time, or it's an affirmation as to you're doing it right, or Chris, this is why you're doing what you're doing.
Okay, so we're gonna play scout here.
Okay.
You, God forbid, you do some type of ridiculous crime, and
Mhm.
you need the best defense
Mhm.
attorney. Who do you call?
Adam Clements. He works at the office of Todd. He's running for mayor now. Why is his name escaping me? I know him as Todd. He has white hair, gray hair. He's been around for a while, but he's a really good defense attorney. But the new wave in my class of attorney, Adam would be the person that I will call if I get an attempted murder case, fleeing and eluding, whatever it is. I'm calling Adam because I see myself in him.
Mhm.
He's aggressive. He's not afraid of trial. And there's some care to what he's doing.
Okay, so we got like 5 more minutes.
Okay.
Walk me through the beauty of a trial.
Ooh. So trial is misunderstood by so many people, right? There are mounds and mounds of attorneys who believe it's a competition on intellect. They want to show that I am the smartest person in the room. I'm smarter than the judge. I'm smarter than the other attorney. I'm going to outsmart this person. That's why they fucking suck. Trial is theater.
Mm.
You're telling a captive audience a story. Not only are they a captive audience, they're a captive audience that don't want to be there in the first fucking place, right? No one wants to go to be called in the jury pool, right? Oh man, I got to go to. That's the attitude. So they already have that attitude walking in the door. And then they're even more pissed when they're picked for a jury because they know they're spending the rest of the week or, depending on the case, the rest of the month coming to this building every day, losing money from their job, not getting their kids to school on time, right? So they pissed off.
Yeah.
And then this motherfucker coming asking me for millions of dollars, right? So that's your audience. So you have to win them over. You have to get them to like you. You have to get them to pay attention. You have to entertain them with a real life story. You're telling an autobiography or whatever that term is of a real human. You have to humanize this person. You have to get them to have empathy for this person. You have to get them to be pissed off at the Mack truck driver who T-boned your client. You have to, a lot of the times, avoid the obstacle of the judge, because a lot of judges, they came to the bench from representing insurance companies and defendants, so they have kind of a bias.
Mhm.
So it's like, what's Chris Paul and the referee that they just can't stand each other? Whatever.
I can't remember his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
So you going in there, you got to fight the other team, you got to fight the ref or the judge, and then you have to overcome all of these obstacles to tell a story that resonates with them and just so happens to be true. And it all boils down to theater. It's the way Obama speaks, right? The pauses, the inflection, the deflection, that's the beauty of trial. It's an uphill battle. And at the end of the day, you have to push through and resonate with these people. Jeff Feiger doesn't practice anymore. He has some health scares. You remember Jeff Feiger, right?
Oh, come on, man. That dude was like the guy.
He was a theater major.
Really?
Will fuck you up in trial. Theater. He knew how to grab attention and hold it. He knew how to get a story across because he was on. From my understanding, he did stage plays, and any actor will tell you that's the hardest medium of acting, stage play, and I love it. I fucking love it.
Yo, that's up, yo. I can't possibly thank you enough. Yo, and you know, just for the record, we had a shit load of followers on Facebook, almost 200,000. If you need to, you know, advertise on their things, I'll throw that out there. But I'm not above begging. Fuck y'all. Anyway, yo, bro. First off, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Nobody's told you today, because I don't know what I think it's like 1% of attorneys, and I'm probably wrong. Are black people?
I don't know that statistic, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was it.
Yeah, it's something unfortunately too small, especially the way that we get done by the justice system.
Yeah,
so
and I see that shit every day. It's not a joke.
And what I try to explain to people in Detroit, Detroit is unique in this country, in that, at least when I was coming up, when I went to court, my judge looked like me.
Yeah,
my attorney looked like me, and the prosecutor looked like me.
Yeah.
So you got a fair fucking shake.
It's a little bit more spread out because we got black people in Macomb County and Oakland County and all of that. So in Detroit, yes, but that Tri-County area get a little shake.
Not so much. If you cross 8 Mile, bro, they are going to screw you. I've seen it 1,000 times. But you know, in Detroit proper, if you fuck up, they're gonna throw it at you.
Yeah.
But they're not, you know, you'll get a fair shake. Anyway, if there's anything I can possibly do for you, bro, please don't hesitate to ask. And I got you. This has been just a phenomenal conversation. Like,
I appreciate that, man. Seriously.
And I hope you feel better, and I hope you get as much fucking money as you can for getting injured. You can take your time on your case. Like I know they hated hitting your ass more.
It's not an easy thing for now. It's really the insurance policy. Anytime you have a lawsuit, you're really not fighting the other person. You're fighting their insurance company.
Yeah,
things will be a lot easier if you could just call the other guy, say, hey, this and that, and like, all right, I messed up, boom. But the insurance companies will fight you tooth and nail, knowing that you have a traumatic brain injury, knowing that you're paralyzed, and they still try to fuck you over for real.
Yeah, the fact that they put a $sign on every injury before you even get injured is crazy. Like, bro, you're 26 and you just broke your neck. We got you down for $200,000. That's all we give you.
And that ain't shit.
No, it's not. Like, if you just broke your neck, that $200,000 will be gone in 3 months.
If so, it
is after the ICU and all that, you know, because we're not even talking about that shit.
Okay, because overnight is 80,000 depending on what you got,
nigga, and don't let them life flight you.
Oh man, yeah.
Anyway, man, I'm gonna get out of here, bro. You are welcome back anytime, man, and we are truly, truly, truly appreciative of what you do and for stopping by and chopping it up with us.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
No doubt, man. Y'all have a good one. I'll holler at you, bro.
All right, cool.
And Francis, I'm not sure what the hell you said, as I don't speak but English. But this, I don't want to say it because it might be something just this. If anybody knows what this means, please let me know. I would love to understand what Francis Famari is saying. Anyway, I'll be back in a little bit over an hour. And let me make sure. Oh, I'm not sure. Okay, that had absolutely nothing to do with me. But let's see. Oh, I want to make sure I get his last name correctly. Corey Cofield will be up in about an hour. Inspirational speaker, and hopefully we can inspire somebody to greatness in the future or greatness today. Anyway, this is Jobs. This has been another episode of Intellectually Petty Radio, and I'm out.